Hello and welcome to the Daily WIP, the show where we discover everyone is becoming a media company. On the show today, we talk about freelancers working with brands, episode 21. All right, freelancers, production companies, agencies, everybody who works for brands to help create their content. I just want to talk to you about a big shift we're seeing, big changes in the wind. If you're working with brands, then they are expecting you to come in and help them get outcomes. I think we talked about this in episode like 3 or 4, is that they're not buying videos off you, they're buying outcomes. But what the key shift is that these brands are trying to turn themselves into content machines. They're trying to systemize the machinery of being able to create incredible amounts of content because they know that not only is the content valuable, but the mass of the content is valuable. If you start creating a huge floor of content that means that your brand is in front of everyone, not the competitor, then that's kind of how you're going to win. When we talk to brands, and we talk to tons of them every week, they're looking for a number of things. They're trying to upskill themselves. So if you, as a video maker, a freelancer, a designer, a podcaster, whatever it is that you sell, if you're able to educate people in that brand on how to do some of it themselves, they will probably thank you by giving you business. So don't think that you give them the tools or the tricks that they're going to do it all themselves and then you're out of a job. If you can be really generous and give, they will give back in a huge way. So number one, give, right? So the second thing, every brand is turning into a content machine. Every brand is trying to win. Every brand is becoming a media company. And so they're going to do a lot of it in-house. Don't be scared. They're going to do a lot of it in-house. They're probably even going to hire some of you to be full-time in their company. They're going to be turning themselves into media companies by ramping up production, by ramping up creativity, the machinery. They're all going to have 15 edit suites. They're all going to have a studio. They're all going to have a head of production who used to work at Fox. It's going to be huge, right? So it's a bit scary. It's a goldmine. So the secondary thing to think about, if you are trying to be somebody, a group, a production company, an agency that is working with this brand and you're trying to basically join their content machine, think of how you do your billing. Think about if they're trying to buy part of their mass content off you, so if they're trying to do 1,000 videos a quarter and they want you to produce 15 of them or 30 of them or 500 of them, depending on what level of the funnel they want your content to sit in, think about billing. Don't think about this video is going to cost me this and I'm going to make 10% margin on this and I've got overheads over here and I've got car rental over here, No one cares, right? Don't go down that small story. Think about, you want this outcome from your content. You don't want to think about the machinery of the content. You want the machinery to be fast. So think about maybe a subscription that they could pay you, or there's an annual fee and they get a certain amount of stuff out of it. So try and take the friction out of how they work with you so that they can just focus on the content that you're producing for them. So think about, say you charge them $10,000, $15,000 a month and they got a certain amount of stuff out of that. Right? So they have to pay it every month. They don't think about it anymore. They know that you're available, you're on call. They know you've got other customers. You have to hire and scale up and down per production. And then you then are able to think much more strategically as a business, because every content producer is a business as well. That's how you make money. And you can think, okay, I've got 10 customers all giving me 15 grand a month, right? So now you've got 150 grand coming in, 10 times 15, is that right? Yeah. So you got that much coming in every month. Might be a team of 2 or 3. You've got your overheads, you've got everything else. You never bring it up. You just go, every customer's going to have 5 key pieces of content at this strata, or they're going to get 2 pieces of key content at this strata, or they're going to get 20 pieces of content at this strata, or they're going to have these certain types of events covered, and there's going to be certain cut downs, and there's going to be content for Instagram, there's going to be content for Facebook, content for YouTube. And you can start thinking about solutions versus just like huge orders with a margin at the bottom. No one wants that anymore. And then within that, you can start thinking about delightful things you can do for your customers. So much like they might say, look, we do one big 2-hour event every week and we'd like you to come and film it. You go, great. Well, if you pay me 15 grand a month, I'll come and film them all. And you're going to get a whole lot of goodies. You're going to get some cut downs. You're going to get some little design work. You're going to get this, that, and the other. You can have stuff to go on any different channel. You're going to get 40 videos to put on Instagram that you can schedule over the next month. And they're like, holy hell. Or that for only 15 grand, and then the next month you go, well, it's 30 grand now because you want to have this, that, and the other. So think more about the outcomes that they want. All they're trying to do is become a media company so that they can create huge amounts of content, so they can capture people's attention, which is finite. You're either watching Netflix, or you're watching someone famous on YouTube, or you're watching this company's content. You can't watch them all. You've only got 7 minutes here, you've got 24 minutes there, you've got 3 hours there. You need to capture them. So think about that is their problem. How do you salute to that problem? And so I love the idea. You have a subscription. You give them outcomes and you go beyond what they're asking for. So they'll tactically say, we need these 7 things. And you go, great, well, I'm going to deliver 70 things. And you're going to love it. And the word of mouth is going to be off the hook. And then, I mean, think about, 4 people in a room who've made this little production company who is now turning over, what's that, like $2 million, $3 million, $5 million a year out of a handful of customers. And you're back-to-back busy and you're learning and you're having fun and you're updating your own hardware and software, and you're turning yourself into a media company. You show little clips of yourselves making all this stuff and talking about how all these brands are becoming content machines and how you're adding yourself to it. There's just so much value in that, and that you're coming into the story with answers. You're not coming to them with little bits of little outputs like, oh, you get this video and I'll output it at 2K and it's going to be 4 gigabytes. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about any of that stuff anymore. It's over. They don't care that the production budget's 14 grand and you're going to make a 12% margin. And if you can get a good deal on the camera, you might make an extra $500. Doesn't matter anymore. That's over. Outputs, outcomes. Give them some stuff so they can hit their goals, which means they love you and they want to work with you more, and they'll give you referrals and they'll keep working with you, and you'll just make money and you'll be busy and you'll get to do what you love, which is make stuff. Okay. So another thing. Last week we did our first, I'll do this. Last week we did our first lunch and learn. This talk today is about there is a change in the air, which was awesome. We were over in Sydney. We hung out. You can watch the clip here. I'll link it up here somewhere. We were in a room with almost 30 people, a mixture of current customers, future customers, and it was a mixture of content creators, agencies, brands, media companies, and we were all just having a huge miasma conversation about how everyone is trying to turn into a content machine, and they need to mechanize making content so they can focus on what the content is, not how the content got produced. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense to think about all the great products you can use to systemize and get rid of all the friction and make it joyful and easy. That's awesome. But one of the coolest things for me was that we were talking to all these different brands, which are not classically media companies, but they have to now think that way. And all their pain points was, we want more of this stuff. It's hard to get it produced. It's hard to get it out the door on time. It's hard to know where to distribute it. There is just so much opportunity in the world of content for brands at this point in time. It is a gold rush. Like, this is a modern gold rush. Everyone is trying to nail it, right? Everyone is spending probably the most amount on video on Facebook advertising just to get the video in front of people and then getting whatever results they get. And so just think about that. You're creating content for an enormous amount of brands. You might be doing like top of the funnel, beautiful, long, takes ages to produce stuff. You might be producing just like quick how-tos to help them just get things out the door. You might turn up to their office one day a week and shoot everybody for 3 hours and then go back and edit it all down to little bits that can be used, hand it to the marketing manager who put it all into Whipster, and then are able to publish it out onto all the right channels. There's so many different ways of doing this stuff. But the overarching theme was brands want to be content machines. Brands are trying to create a thread for their customers and potential customers and prospects to follow, so that there is something new all the time to follow and that they can follow their thread. And then the other thing is that brands are trying to figure out the story they're trying to tell, not about their product. And this is a very, very key thing. Their secondary product is their content. So don't always think that when you're going to go and have a conversation with a brand, you're like, how do I make this brand look cool? It's oftentimes now, how are you going to tell the story of what the brand is trying to say outside of their brand? The most obvious one, as always, is Red Bull. Their whole story is extreme sports. Their whole media arm, which is basically the whole company now, is how do we do extreme sports? How do we just be the kings and queens of extreme sports? And by the way, we sell a drink. So think about that. Okay, this is the end of episode 21. I really want you to subscribe because there's a lot of gold coming out of this channel. I'd like you to tell everyone you know who is a media company, a brand, a production company, a freelancer. Get these people on this channel because we're just going to be telling you more and more and more good stuff. And we're doing more and more events. We've got more events coming up where we're going to go and see more and more people. They're going to get bigger. There's going to be more and more interesting things from people as they say what's up. So tomorrow we are talking to Adobe about how they are helping everyone become a media company. All right, good night.